Oh, hey, how you doing? My name is Charlie Foxtrot, and I want to welcome you to the Charlie Foxtrot Military Veteran and Family Resource Show. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in.
First thing we're going to do is welcome, thank you. Appreciate it tremendously, allowing me to walk in and sit in the beautiful city chamber and talk a little bit about independence and veteran services and what's going on.
We're very happy to have you here. Yeah, always happy to talk about this.
So this is, as you may or may not know, this is a brand new episode. So this is the Charlie Foxtrot sitting down with the mayor. So this is Coffee with the Mayor.
This is exciting. I've been a member of the audience for Veterans at Bars Drinking Bourbon.
Yes.
So actually to be in the hot seat is a little unsettling, but very
Change
exciting.
things around a little bit, right? Well, let's pour a cup of coffee because we can't do talk with the mayor, coffee with the mayor without the most important part of the
Right, we don't want to
day.
misrepresent here. Let me offer you this is an exotic blend from our city building Keurig. I think you'll enjoy it.
Very good, very good. And maybe we'll do veterans and getting some bourbon much later on the day since it's still pretty early. Maybe we do have business to take care of, or at least you do, right?
Mayor's getting bourbon with Veterans in Bars.
That's right.
We'll look forward to that.
So just to kind of kick things off and get things started, do you mind just talking a little bit about where you came from and
Sure.
how you ended up in Independence, really?
Well, you know, and that's actually an interesting story in itself, or I mean, not interesting, but a funny story in itself. So yeah, I'm not a native of Independence. I moved here. I moved here about 2000. Bought my house in 2001. We spent the better part of 2002 working on it. Finally moved in about mid-year and got it finished to the point where anybody would consider it a livable house by the end of the year. But so yeah, I fell in love with an old Victorian house in downtown Independence. Yeah.
And you're definitely not one of those that kind of shies away from telling people where you live, since you open your house up every year, bring people in and set up a beautiful Christmas display, and obviously 4th of July, Memorial Day, everything you always have nicely decorated and decked out.
No, thank you. It is hard to hide from your constituents when you live on the main street, you open your doors at the Christmas walk and have about 1,500 to 2,000 of them walk through in a few hours. So
I won't try to sell more people to come, but if you've never been, you got to go because it's a really great display and pretty cool.
And you are welcome. Get there early. The hot chocolate will run out, and that cherry cordial hot chocolate I think may have pushed me over the edge in my first election.
It probably did. It is. This is not bad coffee. This is actually pretty good. But that, the cordial or the cherry.
Yeah, the cherry cordial hot chocolate.
Yeah, it is really good.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I was a bartender way back in the day when I was in college, and that drink originated as a cherry cordial hot chocolate with amaretto. Being that we have lots of children walking through and everything else, we now use grenadine in it. But
yeah, well, breaking news here. I never knew you were a bartender. So.
Oh yeah, well there you go.
Yeah, so that's good to know. So how did you kind of get into local politics here in Independence?
Kind of by accident. Not really anything I aspired to, I don't think. I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I always thought mayors were cool. As a kid growing up, I remember my mayor, and I'll stand by that.
Well, our mayor is really cool because he plays the piano, he opens up the door, he sings Christmas carols. So.
There you go. I thank you. Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, I bought that old house downtown, and I just kept looking around that area the year we're working on particularly, and looking around that area and thinking, man, this is such a cool place. This downtown area, but it's, we had a lot of businesses that were great businesses that have been there for years, but we're only open part-time, and some places were just vacant. It was like a lot of old downtowns, and thought, man, this is what makes Independence unique. Everybody thinks of Independence as the new suburb, but we've got a history here. I mean, we're 1842. This city was established 2 years behind Kenton County. Right. So we've been here around for a while. So I kept looking at it. I thought, man, it'd be great to do so. I wonder if I could. What time I found out shortly after buying the house that a guy had graduated from high school, Chris Morcone, was running for mayor, which there's another story there. I'll leave that one alone for now. But had made contact with Chris at some point over that first couple of years I was here, and said, if you ever need anybody to serve on a committee or whatever. So, city did a downtown study, trying to plan for their growth. Once that study was completed, they appointed the committee to try to implement it. Chris appointed me to that, and that's where I got started. And I really enjoyed what I was doing there, and went beyond the downtown that I was originally focused on. But became more and more interested. Just really, corny as it sounds, just fell in love with the city. The more I got involved, the more I wanted to be involved.
Absolutely.
And then
And you started that when? When was that? 'Cause
2008.
Okay.
Been, appointed to Isaac in 2008. So so that's where it started. And then what I will tell Chris Marconi to this day and others is that he tricked me into running the council. But I'll admit I had an inkling in the back of my head. After a couple of years at Isaac, the city every year would have a volunteer appreciation dinner. Around Christmas time, we went to that, and unbeknownst to me, after the dinner, he gets up to present keys to the city to a few people, and I was one of them.
Oh, wow.
So, and then as I was leaving with my wife, he stopped me at the door, and he said, are you guys taking off? He said, can we get together for lunch after the holidays? Have you ever thought about running for council? And I mean, I'm basking in the glow of the key to the city of Independence. The mayor asks you to run for council, you can't say no.
You just go for it and do it. Well, it worked out great.
It did. I got involved there, and then the reality of it was the Isaac stuff. I liked what we were doing, but I felt like I wasn't having the impact. I didn't have enough influence on what I thought needed to be done and was important for the city, and I knew I could do that from a council seat. And after a couple of terms of council, I thought, well, I like what I'm doing, but I feel like I could really have more impact and move this ball forward more as mayor. At that time, Chris was not running for mayor, so the seat was open, and decided to go for it, and that was 5 years ago.
Well, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because it just sets up a nice way through a segue. So you're obviously just was reelected as mayor for another 4 years. That's correct.
Yes.
And do you have any future plans after that, or is it still just a little bit too early yet? You still got a long way to go.
That is not the first time I've heard that question. It does come up. I love what I'm doing here. It's not to say it hasn't occurred to me. It has, and I've had people talk to me about running for different offices. The idea interests me, and I'll see where it takes me. But honestly, I love what I'm doing now. I heard way back when that something about local government is the best government there is, and being a mayor is the best job there is. And I fully agree with that. It is very good.
Well, you never know if Chris Marconi, might need a keyboard player and a singer as part of their band or something.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a little too rusty.
I'm rusty. All right, so then you've been doing the mayor gig for a while. You've been on city council for a while. What do you see now as kind of the top 3 priorities going forward for the city of Independence?
This is going to sound like a campaign ad, and it's not, but it's going to be my 3 campaign platforms, because those really are what I thought were the priorities. It's what got me interested in doing this. Yeah. Really the top priority for the, and I'll tell you what, there's not even a top. The 3 more or less equal priorities are economic development, new business. We have got to focus on that. I love what Independence is now. I don't want to be the one to pave paradise and put up a parking lot necessarily, but we don't have a sustainable model. We are the 2nd largest city in Kent County, 3rd in Northern Kentucky, 15th in the Commonwealth, but we're a bedroom community largely. Our tax base is very heavily reliant on residential property taxes. I won't go to the long, boring story, but the quick version of the story I've told 100 times is when I was on council, we just coming out of the recession, and the city, very much to their credit, didn't help line on taxes. But one of the council members had proposed, it was time, we were behind on new cruisers, everything else, it was time to do something. We knew we had to do something to increase revenue. We're going to have to finally do a nominal tax increase, and normally that's done for property taxes, but another alternative is the payroll tax. Another couple of council members really advocating for that, and it doesn't affect our residents necessarily. I argued strongly against it because in the long run, it's very much going to affect our residents because we're not on an interstate. Businesses need a reason to locate. One of those reasons are our property or our payroll tax rate of 1.25% is below the Northern Kentucky average, around 1.5%. So I argued against that, and to make my argument, I researched a bunch of other cities, and what I found is most cities were anywhere between 18 to 35% of their revenue came from property taxes. We were at 50%. That told me we were in trouble. We can't sustain this. We can't keep, especially when you look at how much we've grown in the last 30 years.
I was just reading something from OKI the other day, 60% growth independents over the last 10 years, or since the last census?
Yeah, the last census, yeah, from 2000, 2010, yeah, we were actually, I think it was actually 65%.
Wow.
That's incredible. And, you know, we won't see those same numbers in 2020. That took us up to about just shy of 25,000. You know, we're probably about 28 right now. The estimates have us. You know, the next census, we won't see that kind of growth. Recession had a bigger impact on our growth probably than a lot of the inner ring suburbs, only because you know, the outer ring is where a lot of new home buyers, things like that, were moving to.
Right.
And that's okay. I'm not looking for that because that takes us a nice segue into my second point of what's important is smart growth. That was a big focus of the ISAC committee I was on, and it's a big focus of mine. I have nothing against growth. I certainly have nothing against new development, but at the same time, and Chris Marconi and I talk about this a lot, is kind of his charge as mayor was to grow the city to a point where we had the services that people wanted, the basic service. You know, everybody would love to have everything at their fingertips, but not have to put up with the consequences of it. Sure,
absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, reasonable people realize that you got to go to the grocery store. You want to have a grocery store nearby. We have that now. We've got a great Kroger marketplace. In addition to other stores, we've got the Aldi that's opened up across the street. We've got a great Choice right there in the town center, and you know, both great companies. We've got we've got a number of restaurants. It'd be nice to have some more sit-down restaurants, things like that. I hear that a lot, and we'll get there. But at the end of the day, we got to a point where we have those services. We have those day-to-day things. From my point of view, my point of view is now I need to bring in the industry, the employers, to help support that model. Like I said, nothing against developers, but at the same time, we need to start forming the community we want. That's been a lot of my focus. And it's simple things. I'm not going to tell, I'm not going to dictate it's got to be exactly what color the shutters have to be and everything else. But what we did do is we started with commercial properties. We put in some basic development standards. You know, we had won't name the names, but a retailer go up in the west side of town that, frankly, their store looks like you took a factory and squashed it into a little 10,000 square foot building. You know, it's metal, it's got ductwork running up the back of it, big things, and it's aesthetically, it's awful. So we put in some basic standards for that. When we came back a couple years later, we did the same thing for residential. And when we did that, we worked with stakeholders. We mainly worked with the builders. We didn't want to alienate them completely beyond that. We just didn't want to do something that was unreasonable. But at the same time, this is the community we all have to live with for the rest of our lives and our children's lives and so on.
Yeah.
We want to build that community. So, you know, we had an awful lot of what I refer to as vinyl boxes going up. Starter homes are great. There's a need for them. We have lots of them. We love people having their first home in independence. We'd also like them to have their second home and the home that they live in for the rest of their lives in independence. And so what we've done is we just put in some design standards. Said, you know, you can only use so much vinyl siding or aluminum siding. You've got to use some other materials. And if you want to use more of those less expensive materials, you can do that, but you kind of buy up with some architectural features that make for maybe a better quality housing stock. So, you know, that's going to be a long-term fix. We'll see if that with the existing subdivisions that don't apply to, but that'll get us there. Sorry, I went on a rant on that.
No,
you asked me what my three, you're going to get a long story.
Well, and it's a little bit off subject too, but you know, doing that research, I saw that the median income in Independence is about $65,000, and having that growth for living in Independence, working in Independence, shopping in Independence type of philosophy, and you know, right now there's not a whole lot of options for employment per se.
No.
Yeah, from a higher point standard.
There's not, and you know, we'll never get there completely. I mean, the lack of interstate is gonna, you know, it's not gonna be an ideal location for an office park.
Right.
We're not gonna see a shopping mall going up. Anybody's building shopping malls anymore.
Right.
But we're not gonna see things like that. But what we do have some real options people don't realize is on the light industrial side. We've got a portion of Northern Kentucky and industrial park is in Independence, and to really put a point on how important that is, and you know, this is definitely something for the. I don't want to see the fields go away, and I don't either.
Right.
But at the same time, we've got to find a balance here. So when I became mayor, we have a street off of Industrial Road, Holton Drive, that houses several of our big employers. Balif is out there, Camco, A.O. Smith, Firestone, and I'm missing one, and I feel terrible about. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. But we looked at that. We've known for years when I was on council, we talked about we got to replace this road. It's in terrible shape. Well, was going to cost $600,000 to replace the road. At that time, we had just got our budget up to $750,000 a year for all of our street
For
projects.
everything.
Yeah. So so we just keep getting pushed back. It's really hard to tell a resident that now we can't fix your street because we're going to replace this entire one road in the southwestern corner of town that, oh, by the way, nobody lives on. But at the same time, you can't tell these people. So we got the estimate. So I asked our finance director to pull the numbers on Holton Drive. What kind of revenue are we generating between payroll taxes and gross receipts and property taxes? And we pulled those numbers. And it turns out we were generating over $600,000 a year in revenue from that one single street in a city of 28,000. And that was quite an eye-opener, not only to what I thought I knew, but realized that what a difference that makes, what a difference the industrial makes, what a difference the employer makes. Not only is it a benefit to our citizens to have decent employment, and the wages in those are decent wages.
Absolutely.
It's a benefit there, but at the same time, it supports the services that we not only need, certainly the critical services like police, fire, roads, but also the things we want, like our recreation programs, like the Christmas walk we talked about, all of those things that make this a great community. Which kind of segues us into number three as we jump back. and number three is what I refer to as small town appeal. I coined the term a few years ago, and I've used it a lot, is independence is Mayberry on steroids. And I believe that. There is a small town feel that everybody recognizes when they come here. I hear it over and over again.
Growing up right here, it's changed quite a bit, but it is still that's the beauty of Independence is you have, as you mentioned, some restaurants, a few more might be nice, but we have some very nice ones here. And the facilities that are around, everything that you really want to need is right here in Independence.
It is. I mean, that's
close.
For your regular shopping, and it'll come. I'll hear it. We had a business come to town recently, an auto service business, and we heard a lot of, oh, why would they let them in? We need a insert restaurant name here. Applebee's Fridays, and Chipotle. Chipotle is the one I hear the most.
Why?
Yeah. Hey, I agree. We need one. I would love to have one. You look at where they're located. We don't, and I kind of did our newsletter column on that to help people understand. Is we don't get to order these up, nor do we get to approve them necessarily. If the zoning's in place and they fit the mold, they can come in. But they do their homework. They know what their market is, and our biggest thing is we do not have a daytime population they refer to. And that's people that work here.
And we've talked about that in the past as well.
It is. Yeah, we get people working here, and we'll get some of these other restaurants.
Absolutely. Well, Charlie Foxtrot here. I'm here with the wonderful Mr. Mayor of Independence, Mr. Ironson, and we were talking about some of the top 3 priorities, of Independence, and a little bit about your background as your local government, representative. We're going to kind of transition into a little bit. Let's talk a little about veteran services.
Absolutely.
So we talked about the top 3 priorities. Why would someone that's in the military right now, they're looking to get out, and why would they choose Independence to come and live? We just said that there's not a whole lot of employment. There is, don't get me wrong, there is. There's restaurants.
Let's talk about here right in the Cincinnati metropolitan area.
That's true. But why would they choose Independence to come here and live?
Aside from the obvious, the name, that would be a good starting point, at least to narrow down your list of places I want to live if I want to go anywhere in the country, which military tends to do, because they've experienced that. People like me, I've never lived more than 10 miles from where I was born, because we're afraid of that. We've not experienced it. I would say the number one reason, and this wouldn't just apply to veterans, would apply to what I would tell anybody, is why you want to live here. Is it is a great community. It's a very safe community. We are consistently rated in the top 10 safest communities in Kentucky. That's number one. We've got good schools here. it's just a great, that small town, despite the 28,000, 15th largest out of the 420 some cities in the Commonwealth, still feels like a small town, would be the reason. But I would also suspect for veterans in particular is, there's a reason you went into the service, and my guess is part of that is patriotism. And patriotism, you know better certainly than anybody, is not something that you just wear on your sleeve. It's something you live. But at the same time, when people are wearing it on their sleeve, kind of, I would imagine that's kind of reassuring because you understand that people get it.
Right.
And Independence gets it, and you're going to see it here, and you're going to see it in our corny street names sometime, Declaration Drive and Liberty Orchard down the road here, and you live in the Midnight Run subdivision with the sort of Paul Revere themed names, and we get a lot of those subdivisions, and you're going to see that here. So yeah, we do wear it on the sleeve, but more importantly is we get it. I believe this community very much gets it. I mean, flags will be flying regularly at Independence. That's not an unusual sight, but more than that, at the Independence Day celebration, when we stand and sing the national anthem, people are standing and eyes will tear up and things like that. We get it.
Great. And congratulations on the big flag now, too, walking people to the city of Independence. It looks really awesome walking up there.
Man, I love that flag. That has been a dream for a while.
It's very nice, yeah. And if you haven't seen the new Memorial Park with all the flags that are flying up there too, it looks absolutely wonderful. So getting there. So what does kind of Independence do for our military veterans and their family members right now?
We do on a suburban level, on a smaller suburban city level, but not a suburban city versus an urban area. We're kind of limited in what our options are, but it's a priority for us. The thing I am most proud of, and I can credit you for anything really that I've done, because you brought it to my attention from the time you came back from Afghanistan. We sat down and had a beer, and right away you just started shooting ideas at me of things you wanted to do, and we worked on those, and I was just proud to be along for the ride. But in that case, the thing I am most proud of though is our Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs office here in the city building. You had told me about the need, asked if the city possibly had some space, and yeah, we worked it out. We figured out a space. We had KDV up here to take a look at it, what worked for them. We initially had them in kind of a receptionist area behind a glass in our offices on our first level, and realized that wasn't working great. Wendy, the service officer, is interviewing veterans, and there's a lot of personal information in the nature of what they're doing. We had a conference room that was effectively being used for storage down there, so we turned that into Wendy's office. And I was thrilled to learn last year that we are the busiest KDVA field office in the entire state. I didn't expect that.
Well, and neither did KDVA. When we sat down and talked about it, they were hesitant to come to the City of Independence because they were like, it's a small town and without access that we talked about. And it just proved positive. She is the busiest in the state, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
One, just she's really good.
Rusty running down 1,000 great ideas he has to help veterans, and I am happy to be in a place where I can sometimes help out a little bit. And that was one of his ideas, was do we have room? The Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs has a field office, but it's a tiny little office. Is there any chance we have room in the Independence City building? And we did, fortunately. And that brought Wendy Maxwell to us and turned our office into one of the KDVA field offices. And it has been a very successful office. I was very happy to learn at the end of last year that I think last year we were the busiest field office in the Commonwealth, and that is a good feeling to be in a position, and I can't take any credit for it except figuring out where space was, and any moron can do that. But with people like Wendy who are willing to come in and do that, and that is what brings me here today. I have a proclamation of the City of Independence that I would like to present to Wendy. Whereas the Mayor of Independence has the honor and privilege to recognize individuals for their contributions to our community, and whereas the City of Independence recognizes that the contribution of the members and veterans of the United States Armed Forces are essential to our nation's independence, and whereas the city further recognizes that those who choose to utilize their time and talents to serve these veterans are also a great asset to our nation and our community. And whereas Miss Wendy Maxwell has not only made the noble choice to serve veterans through her work as an accredited benefits counselor with the Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs, but does so with exceptional passion, dedication, and skill. And whereas Ms. Maxwell provides free professional help to Kentucky veterans in obtaining and using all of the federal and state benefits to which they are entitled. And whereas Ms. Maxwell has a plethora of veterans benefits knowledge and is an educator to the community, serving over 100 veterans a month and making field calls for over 250 questions and requests. And whereas Ms. Maxwell goes above and beyond in her position by participating in community activities and events such as serving as a member of the Northern Kentucky Military Veterans Coalition and providing veteran service support for the first annual Veterans Luncheon at Kroger's, seeing over 150 veterans and family members. And whereas Ms. Maxwell has not only enriched our city through her service to our veteran community, but has brought propitious recognition to the City of Independence by making the KDVA office in the Independence City Building the busiest field office in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Now, therefore, I, Christopher J. Reinersman, Mayor of Independence, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Independence, recognize and commend Ms. Wendy Maxwell for outstanding service to local veterans and to the City of Independence. Thank you, Wendy.
It is a true pleasure and honor to serve our veterans. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody in the City of Independence has just went above and beyond for KDVA, and I just can't thank you enough. It's a true honor and a privilege. Thank you so much.
And we couldn't be more honored to have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your great work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Wendy is a lot of the reason why this office, she is the largest reason this office is so successful. But to be able to just have the resources there, we had them. And it's funny because I had a conversation just yesterday with our county judge executive, because the next issue is being the busiest in the area is there's still a need and that access. There's also a very real, fortunately we get a lot of people out here and Wendy's able to help a lot of people out here. But there are some people that, public transportation is an issue and just more the convenience of getting there, things like that. So we've been looking for some, so KDVA brought this up to me, looking for some. So I'd reached out to the county, and county's got a lot going on right now. They're building a new administration building and a whole lot of other things going on. We had an initial conversation and really I hadn't heard much, heard that it was kind of handed down the line and didn't seem to be getting anywhere. So I reached out to the judge again yesterday. And we had a great conversation, but that was one of the points I make to him is because he said, and I was kind of selling me. He said, "Chris, you don't have to sell me on this." He said, "I know this is great work." And I said, "Well, yeah." And Chris, the beauty, we're both Chris. It's very confusing.
There's a lot of Chris's.
There's a lot of Chris's. Government county. Yeah. I said the beauty of this though is that it's virtually no effort. It's space. They're not asking us for a staff. They're not asking us for a phone line. We had one of our local volunteer group heard that they needed a shredder, so they went out and bought him a shredder. But they didn't ask for that. They didn't need it. They didn't require it. All they required was space, and man, if they could have a door in that space, that would be even better. Right. And a Wi-Fi signal. That was exciting. So we had that conversation. So I am very encouraged, and I know Chris Knockelman. Chris Knockelman is a great supporter of veterans as well. So I think this was just one of those things that was so much on your plate, and he apologized to me, and I said, "You, Chris, don't." I spend most of my time apologizing. I feel like for things that I let fall through the cracks because we've got so much going on in these roles. So I'm very encouraged that we'll have a second one here in Kenton County.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and that's I'm not talking out of school. That's live here first time.
Another one. News story breaking. Speaking of kind of in that direction, because I don't kind of shy away. I've sat down with the governor, I've sat down with the lieutenant governor, I've sat down with the KDVA, and I told them we lack services compared to other states in the state of Kentucky. So having that resource right here in our back pocket, our hometown, is so key and important, and having another one for me make it better because she is the busiest in there. So with that, one of the conversations that's going to come up as we get ready to go through a governor's race with our current governor and his opponent, one of the things that came up and is a hot topic in the veteran population and in the civilian population, and with the recent legalization in Ohio of medical marijuana, what is kind of your stance on that controversial area?
Whew, seat just got a lot hotter.
Right?
No, I don't shy away from that. I have no trouble at all talking about it. I am not opposed to it. There is too much scientific evidence that suggests that this is that it does do good. and I've not seen any evidence. I understand the slippery slope. I don't doubt for a minute that since it started, I don't know, out west, that the prescriptions from doctors for not real needs exist. I'm not really seeing the great consequences of that. When you look at them, back up a little bit, I'm a registered independent. I have been all my life. And what I tell people is if there was a pragmatist party, I would sign up. Because I am very pragmatic. And while it's not ideal, I look at the greater good. And yeah, you can't argue against the benefits of medical marijuana. And it's really hard to find some seriously adverse consequences.
Well, and the true reason I brought that up is one is just to kind of talk about the issue that's out there and I hear about fairly regularly. The second one is going to be interesting to see what happens in the state of Ohio with its really starting to wrap up and get going right now and see the impact. And speaking of Judge Knockelman, he just sent out a statement, or at least through the office, came out with a statement just reminding everybody it is still illegal in the state of Kentucky. So if you bring it across the bridge or the river onto the border, it is still considered illegal in the state of Kentucky. So it'd be kind of interesting just to see where that goes, if it goes anywhere. Hopefully it doesn't go anywhere.
It is, and and it's a good point, and yeah, I commend the judge for putting that, because it's something that needs to be said there. And anecdotally, I suspect you've noticed, and I certainly have. I was out in Colorado last year, and I was shocked. And, I went to they have movies at the Rock or something at Red Rocks, and not surprisingly, the aroma was in the air there. But the number of places where it was, and I thought, whoa, boy, this is different when it's illegal. What I've noticed though since I've been back is, if I go to an event in a park downtown or whatever, I'm gonna. It's becoming more prevalent. I believe we are on a path to legalizing it just across the board. I think that's going to occur certainly in the next 10 years, if not less. I'm not expressing an opinion one way or the other on that one, but it's going to happen. But I think the mindset, while as it is getting legalized, as people are, to the point of the judge's memo, is people are just assuming that it is all okay. And in fact, it's not. It is still against the law.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to turn this into a political debate or show or anything like that, but I would encourage the audience to just check whatever stance you're on and all the other stances. Make sure that you're informed and don't be a voter that's not informed of what's going on.
Amen. And on that, on any issue, but
On
you're
any
right.
issue.
Yeah, the marijuana issue is a big one. Just, make sure you're informed.
Yeah, and it's one of them that they're talking about, or at least
Yeah.
half of them are talking about. All right, a little more lighthearted. We mentioned this before about Veterans and Bars getting bourbon. Make sure you subscribe and watch. But what is kind of your favorite bourbon when you sit down and have a good glass of bourbon?
So I have long said I'm not a great one for superlatives. Saying one thing is my favorite, I'm not good at that, and I love bourbon. So it is really hard to say a favorite. I joke to people I've never met a microphone I didn't like. I've not met many bourbons I didn't like either.
I like that answer.
So there's a lot of great bourbons out there. I mean, I've been a long-time Maker's Mark fan, and I think it's funny now because Maker's Mark in some ways is, I guess, people are looking down their nose because it's not one of these new craft bourbons or whatever. Yeah. But I was at the distillery, I had family in town. We did the Bourbon Trail, or several stops on the Bourbon Trail last month. And, we went to Maker's Mark. That's probably the third or fourth time I've been there. It's grown quite a bit. The Bourbon Trail has helped them a great deal.
Yes.
But, so yes, like Maker's Mark. E. Rare is one that's becoming kind of a favorite. Buffalo Trace is a great one. Pappy. So I've only had Pappy twice in my life. And I couldn't wait. The first time it was my brother-in-law's birthday, and his brother bought him a shot of it. It was like a 23-year Pappy or something. I mean, it was an $80 shot.
I was going to say $100.
Yeah, he let me take it. It may have been more closer to that, yeah. But I had a sip of that and thought, this is good. We've been sampling a lot, so who knows. And then I met with a friend of mine a couple of months ago, and he has a bar in his office. And he's like, wait a second. He goes and runs. He said, I've got a bottle of Pappy here. And and he initially asked me how I liked, when I said bourbon, how would I like it? I said, I know a lot of the purists think it's terrible. I like it on ice. I don't necessarily like water or anything, but I like it on ice. But when he brought out the Pappy, I thought that would just,
Can't do it. Yeah, it's just too.
So I didn't enjoy it as much. Honestly, I didn't, and I kind of thought, I wish I was drinking Maker's right now.
Can I steal a little more talk?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Sorry. Playing with my hair on steroids, it's so hospitable.
Well, I waited to have my first cup when I got here, so.
I've known you long enough to know if you had too much, you might be bouncing off the walls. So.
That's a great point. All right. So kind of just to wrap things up here, but
Well, real quick, old fashioned is my favorite specific drink. Yeah.
good point. Good point. Yeah, you actually kind of got me drinking old fashions and a little tasting that we had at one time, and I tend to pour a lot of those now.
That was my night. That was my experiment. I wanted to try them for the first time and making them, and I was really happy with the ones I made. So my wife did last night. I had an old fashioned last night with dinner.
Yep.
And my wife asked me, she said, "Well, who's the best?" I said, "She said that wasn't. Nah, it was not the best ever." I said, "Well, who makes the best one?" I said, "Honestly, I think I do."
Yeah, I agree.
I appreciate it. Just fishing for a compliment.
Yeah, you deserve it. So, but yeah, I'll typically will order that now too.
Yeah.
And that's the first. I think that's the first one I ever had.
That was my first
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
So, again, just kind of wrap things up here. But what do you want your kind of legacy to be for the city of Independence?
I tell people what interested me in this in the first place. I guess I'm a real estate appraiser by trade, and so working all over the region, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of suburban development. And Independence is kind of at a crossroads. We've grown a lot, but we have a lot left to grow. So yeah, my legacy would be what I would hope it is, and what I strive for is just for my point in time as a steward to kind of set a course that puts us on a long-term sustainable course, and that sustainability is the smart growth model to be a suburban city that people want to live in, and that every socioeconomic level, every generation wants to live in. So we have the starter homes, but we also have that next step home, and we also ultimately have a place where the empty nesters want to go, and the myriad of things that entails. Now, whether condominiums, independent living facilities, whatever, we have it all here. We got the room for it. We've got a great landscape. So to have that, but the biggest part of that sustainability model is laying the groundwork to start to get the industry, the employers in here, and still doing it in a way, and that's the balance, doing it in a way where we can keep that community we want to live in, but at the same time we have that diverse model that's funding it at a reasonable level where your property taxes aren't prohibitive. So yeah, that's what I hope. I hope I can set that direction. I got the advantage of being in a place where we were sort of turning a corner, and if I can set that course that somebody can follow and improve on, that would be nothing to be happier.
Awesome. So I am going to jump back real quick because you just reminded me of something else, and I am going to put you on the spot a little bit. Is if you could choose one business or that you want to see come to Independence right now, and you can go industry if you want to kind of go.
But yeah, I have to go back to industry. It is so critical. I had a meeting yesterday. We've hired a consultant to look at some areas of opportunity for us and really boil down some numbers. And what we looked at, and we have one particular area in town that has some different options for it. It really runs the spectrum on the options outside of single-family development. But there could be apartments. There could be a mixture of things. Apartments. There could be retail development there. There could be offices there, and there could be industrial there. And it's a unique spot that all of these fit. And we ran the numbers from the city's point of view, and the return. I mean, the return to the city is just hands down is the industrial. And it's not all about money. And I know a lot of people say that. Well, the city only wants it because they want the money. Well, think about why we want the money. I don't actually get a bonus for anything we do. It's illegal.
Right.
It's against the law. I can't get it. But what we want to do is grow for the good of the community. We need this revenue. So that's part of what drives that. But there is also the very significant job factor of it's good to have jobs here in town.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's not sexy. But man, that's fun.
I appreciate that. And
nice manufacturing jobs.
Yeah, nice manufacturing jobs. Well, I'll just kind of end this, and I'll ask you one final question. But there's been a lot of improvements and stuff going on, especially down through Old Madison. The new sidewalks are going in. Me and my daughter were talking about this the other day, putting in the brick walkways.
Yes, love those.
Really sharp.
So excited. Yeah.
The new flag. The flags that line Old Madison, of course, Independence salutes, banners that recognize, local heroes, military.
See more of those, and that's just a great addition to them.
And it just adds to that Independence feel, right? So that's amazing. So really just kind of the last question is, what else does you like to say to the community?
It's going to sound corny, but Thank you. It is an incredible privilege to sit in this seat, and I've never regarded it as anything but. I mean, there's times I will feel sorry for myself. I'm just so busy, and I don't get paid enough. Wow, but yeah, I quickly realized the reason I do it, the reason I don't want to quit it, the reason when you ask me what's next is I love this job. It is quite a privilege. It's an exciting job. I mean, there's so many different things going on you get to be a part of. When I talk to kids, I get to go. One of my favorite things to do is go to talk to classrooms. And one of the things I tell them about what's great about this job is you get to help people. And that sounds kind of corny too, but you're in a position where all your life you've heard the frustration and you've experienced the frustration of dealing with government or whatever, and you just can't get a problem solved. You know what, when somebody calls me in a lot of cases, I can. Because I'm the mayor of Independence, my phone call will be taken because these questions will be answered. And a lot of times it's not even, and I'll use Judge Donovan as a perfect example. The judge is passionate about veterans, and this is something that's important to him, but with his millions of things going on, it can't stay on his radar. But when I call and ask for it, it gets it there, and it gives him the opportunity to do what he wants to do. So, yeah, it's an incredible privilege.
And of course, we have the best 4th of July celebration in the state, if not the nation, right here
No
locally
question about that.
in Independence.
That's right.
Which is pretty freaking amazing.
Those fireworks consistently remain rated among the top 10 4th of July fireworks in the state. I just, another great time. I'd say that whole weekend, that's all I'm saying. All the people ask, I say, how you doing? I could be doing better. I am the mayor of Independence on Independence Day weekend.
Right.
It doesn't get any better than
that,
right?
Yeah. So if someone wants to reach out, give you suggestions on, what they want to see, or if they have a concern or whatever, what is the best mechanism to be able to reach out?
Email's the best. I love talking to people, and I'm happy to talk to people if they want to, and you can call and leave a message or this and that, but that whole falling through the cracks thing that I'm guilty of, I've really come to rely on email because that lets me go. I mean, I will, at some point each week, I will sit back and go through the last week and make sure I see if I missed anything or whatever. So yeah, mayor@cityofindependence.org. That is the nice, easy one to have the best shot of getting hold of me, and I'll respond anyway you try to get hold of me. But
Absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah, the worst is if I'm up at Cruise Creek sitting at the bar having a beer
Or an old fashioned.
or an old fashioned, and telling me about your street being paved, I will happily listen to you then.
Oh, we'll talk about Karen about my street. I keep being told it's a county street, but
I know there's a story there.
well, I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've taken way too much of your time already, but greatly appreciate it. Amazing job as always, and just thank you for being our mayor. We appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate that.
Cheers to you. It's not bourbon, but we'll do coffee today.
We'll do coffee this morning. That's great.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Cheers.